All right, top top of the day. Got an Oscar talk for you. All right, on this got some notes here. On this Monday, October 13th, 2025 or 2025, whichever you prefer. I got a setup, man. I got a setup here today. So basically, I've got the camera. It might be a little wobbly. Shoot. I got the camera because I thought I was going to do something different, and I changed it up last minute. It's sitting on a book on the dash, and it just seems to be working. But if I move, yeah, it's stable enough. So what I have for today is instead of a truck talk, because you hear truck talks and walking talks, and those are all great. I watch them, I enjoy them. But I'm doing a sub talk, an S.U.V talk, and that's simplified, unauthorized version. Okay, so here we go. Um, Welcome to Oscar Talk, and if you're watching along, I thank you. We went over the date. Weather-wise, it's fall for sure. The morning's got some the early day here. It's got some bite to it. You know, it's got some chill factor going on. It's starting to cool down. So, um, yeah, we out there getting out here early, and feels good. Feels good. It's not bone rattling. That's the one thing about the area I live in. It's fairly moderate temperatures. You know, we get we don't get the snow, so we don't get the extreme cold. It gets cold enough, and then heat wise, you know, we get a few summertime. We get up in there. You know, 80s 90s is pretty normal. And then every now and again we get that super heat wave where we get up at high 90s, um, and in a really hot day would reach, you know, 100 101. But those are rare for summertime. So nice, fairly moderate weather overall, and that's Cali, that's West Coast right there. But that's why you want to be here. um, Excuse me. Yeah, let's get into it then. Let's get to it. Just kind of working back around to some of the topic yesterday. Um, just wanted to review. Uh, Really kind of wanted to expand a little bit on the crypto side, because I'm really looking into it and kind of trying to get a grasp of what its utility, its usage, and its legitimacy. Because, like I said, on a personal usage, for me personally, and I'm not going to espouse what you should do, but what I would say, for me personally, I look at it as an investment tool, a potential investment tool, but it's on the highly speculative side. With that said, it's like anything else. You got to do the due diligence. You got to do the research. Even if you have, you know, because even if you have a trusted source, you really still got to get into what does this crypto represent, the business end of it, and how does it solve a problem. So that's how I look at it. How does it solve a problem? And that kind of, to me, that determines its viable usage, you know. Um, and then that may be something worthwhile. So as an investment, it it's still, to me, it's still speculative, you know. But if you were to be in it and maybe hold some and run it for the long haul, you might hit a winner right there. That'd be like, think about, if you think about Bitcoin, and if you were ever in Bitcoin early and you just held on to it, I'd say you did all right. I'd say you did all right for yourself on that one. So that's how I look at that. And then a theory I have on usage would be how it could play in say a combined function of say U.S. Treasury, U.S. Mint, and then how it works with the Federal Reserve. Because I'm not a guy that's like against these institutions or entities. What I'd say with the my criticism on the Federal Reserve is can is it can it just be a neutral function? Okay, so my questions to that would stem around the fact that or my questions to that is, does it remain neutral? um, and or does it direct energy and manipulate narrative? You know, you know, and to me, because to me that poses that's um I think that could be because I don't view it as good or bad, but I could see it as being used in either a good capacity or a bad, you know. So those are my questions. When I kind of just take a step back and look at the whole thing, I'd say overall it seems on the everyday usage you're using a bank. I mean, how does this stuff affect? You know, how does this stuff affect banking on a just on a daily basis? You know, and then obviously does it play into bigger bigger issues or bigger topics? What um it's obviously been around. It's solving some problems. It's solving some issues. So I think that you can look at that and you may or may not agree. Okay, I mean, like I say, I'm not trying to judge it. I'm trying to better know its function, and then how can I move forward in my own affairs, and that's it. You know. So those would be the questions that I would pose, that I do position myself with. How does this, and then so how does crypto play into that? How does the Treasury play into that? How does the U.S. Mint play into that? These are all functions that are there and they're working and they're doing something. And maybe and that's another research in itself, no doubt. So so I just wanted to hit on that. You know, um, what else about cryptos? What else? What else? Yeah, it's something. What else would be? If you're interested in that, then you got. There's nothing that I really can provide to you other than asking the question, and then you take it on and see if it's something that's going to be beneficial in your life or something you can make work for you, and do the homework and see how you can make the plays and get you know and make it happen. Um. Okay. So that I'm going through my notes. I got notes. I got notes. What's my I got to remember my motto. Uh, I've got uh, I've got information, interpretation for your consideration, but I don't have manipulations or machination. So I'm trying to remain objective here, in a way, neutral, in a way, because I'm not someone. I don't want. I'm not going to be someone that's continually pointing the finger just to just because shit's gone wrong. You know, I mean, but calling things out because it's wrong. That's what's is that yeah. Some people ain't gonna like that, man, because it's gonna ruffle feathers. But I'm not saying I'm right or I'm righteous or, like I said, some kind of nice or benevolent, altruistic. No, man, I'm a person trying to figure it out, like most others that are trying to figure it out. And if you're not one of those that are trying to, that's fine. It just, you know what I'm saying? Um, that's perfectly fine. We build our lives out, man. We build our lives out and see what's going to work for us and what isn't. Different regions are, different regions are different. I think I touched on a little bit of constitutionality and centralization of powers, and I believe the Constitution is an attempt to deal with some of those issues because they're real. They're real issues. You know, I would I would say things the way I grew up with are a little bit different today in how people view things and how people view the higher institute, what we might call higher institutions or government or whatever. And you know there's personal accountability also, and there's checks and balances, even on the local level. Those things need to be, they need to be, you know. So it's ongoing. So it's ongoing. And well, let's just leave it at that. It's ongoing. Further research, for that. Let's see what else do we have. Touched a little bit on Federal Reserve. Does it remain neutral? That's kind of I don't know. I believe there's some importance to it, but let's let that one ride for a little. Let that simmer for a minute. Let's get into with that. I'm just gonna let that ride and let that simmer. I want to get into so you got we talk about a little bit about crypto, how I see it, as far as the potentialities of using it as an investment tool. I do think from my perspective, it's more of a speculative type investment. Um, and then going from there, I would say the next level of investment, and I've talked a little bit about it, stock investing, and that can be highly speculative also. The main difference I believe you're dealing with is you're dealing with publicly operating or traded businesses. So you're you're at least saying, okay, business level legitimacy, um, and you can and there's much more established guidelines and framework for these businesses, so you can look into them like a Costco or like a 3M, or even REITs. Um, you can look into these businesses and see what they do, how they operate, what's their function, and then determine if that's a viable investment. You know, and the main thing there is going to be, it's always going to fall back on the integrity of the data that they promote or push forward in their reports. So, you know, uh, that's why you have oversight guidelines, frameworks. I mean, accounting principles, all those things play into how how these bigger companies work or provide their services or provide their goods. And there's some there's some businesses that are worth the worth the investment, worth the time to research and see what they do, how they do what they do, learn the business, and then, you know, if you're establishing or thinking about establishing portfolio with investment stocks, that sort of thing, um, it could be something for you, and it could be, again, it's one of those, you're gonna have your speculative businesses that are, maybe new or establishing new products, or just solving, and that's, again, that's going to go to what does it solve? Does it solve what problem does it solve? What issues does it solve? What products does it offer? What services does it provide? And that sort of thing. So I think those are viable investments, and I'm not in any of it. I was in the past, but I really realized that I have to do a lot more as an independent investor, someone like myself who wants to establish um, my own uh, investment portfolio and that sort of thing. If I want to do that, then I have to do a lot more homework and really understand and really kind of knowing how these things work, and how um, basically how can I either participate and benefit from that participation. And those are kind of those are there's a lot of good literature out there to really read. There's a lot of I think there's a lot of good and knowledgeable um, financial people and professionals in that realm that that can be helpful. So if that's kind of my take on those things. But again, I'm not I'm not completely in as far as stocks. I'm not completely in, but I do see that there is definitely a way to function, and if that's something that one would consider, there's some considerable amount of learning to do before you really kind of dip your toe in and see if that's going to be something that works for you. You know. So that's really what I had lined out for you in this sub talk, S.U.V. Simplified unauthorized version of a talk, and I happen to be sitting in S.U.V. So keeping it real, folks. Okay, that's the Oscar talk for today. I'd I just like to thank you if you listen along this far.